Good afternoon. Hi everyone. Happy Thursday. How's it going? It's a good day for me so far. I hope everyone is enjoying their week. It is coming to an end, and here on the East Coast it is absolutely gorgeous fall-ish weather with a little more kind of last days of summer still in the air. Super exciting. So today's topic is a hot ticket item. It's the kind of conversation that gets me, shall I say, fired up, because it's, so first off, we're going to talk about the latest food documentary called What the Health. And it has lots of people asking lots of questions, especially to someone like me who does not recommend a vegetarian or vegan diet. I should first off state that once upon a time I was a vegetarian and borderline vegan. And for me, and this isn't for everyone, so I'm not generalizing here, but for me, my reasons were really to figure out a way to limit as many food groups as possible, because I was actually anorexic and bulimic. And so by claiming myself a vegetarian and or vegan was a way for me to avoid eating most foods. And I was extremely unhealthy. I was without a period for about a year. I had very dry hair, dry skin, dry nails. I was extremely unhealthy. Granted, I was not an educated vegetarian or vegan. There are many of those out there, and I myself still have vegetarian and even vegan days within my week, but I do strongly feel as a health expert, and when I see people truly reawaken their health, that having some animal protein on a regular basis is crucial to optimal health, and especially fertility. Most all vegetarians and vegans that start working with me transform into bits of carnivores, even if it's just that they're taking liver in pill form and they start eating eggs and fish. And when I see that transformation take place, I see their health thrive, and I see their body shift, and I see them get pregnant, or they're not trying to get pregnant, they're just trying to heal from some, especially an autoimmune type of condition. I see their health transform. So let's back that up. So the What the Health documentary is a pro-vegan documentary that unfortunately is filled with a lot of misinformation. It has overlapping misinformation with things like the China study or forks over knives, which I have written pieces about. If you just Google Amy Raup and the China study, I have a really detailed piece about all the information that went into that China study argument. And so What the Health is kind of piggybacking on that, and that's typical for the veganism population. And again, I don't want to name names, and I definitely don't want us to be against each other. I think every type of diet has a space within a normal, healthy, eating plan, right? So I do think some days fine to be a vegetarian, fine to be a vegan, but that you should also, consider eating really good quality animal protein. And this is the biggest thing. Paloma just commented, that guy cherry picks research. I work on health research. Yeah, well, that's, Paloma, same thing, right? I was a research scientist before I became an acupuncturist. So I really understand research, and Paloma, I'm sure you do too. And most of what is out there is cherry-picked information. I was guided to cherry-pick information. We were working on Alzheimer's research back when I was at UCSD, and we were very much guided to cherry-pick information. That was one of the reasons I left the industry and studied Chinese medicine. There was many things going on for me. I was like 24, 25 years old. But seeing that the research was completely cherry-picked, and then also who was paying for the research, and so that's a big thing. That this documentary got a couple things I think really spot on and right. there's a lot of political money in food and agriculture, and you gotta be really freaking careful. Big companies, and I won't name names, but they give a lot of money to lobbyists, and then the lobbyists go ahead and protect their rights and their foods, and then they find research that knocks the other types of foods and promotes this type of food. So the What the Health documentary really brought that forward, and I think they were 100% right. I think the biggest problem with our food and our dietary system in the United States is farming and agriculture. So we are all in agreement about that. However, What the Health says something like eating eggs is just as bad as smoking cigarettes. And that is like, my head freaking spins at comments like that. Like, A, that's completely unfounded. B, if there was some sort of research, they're looking at research from like the 60s, which has completely been disproven. You know, there is no link between dietary cholesterol, high cholesterol, heart disease. Zero. I'm going to read from you from my first book, Chill Out and Get Healthy, which was written in 2009. So that was 8 years ago. So this information is not even current. This is 8 years ago, and little old me wrote about it then, you know. So eggs do not give you high cholesterol. Yes, eggs are high in cholesterol. They are also high in several other important nutrients, notably lecithin, that help your body balance cholesterol content and keep cholesterol circulating in your blood rather than allowing it to form deposits in your arteries. These other nutrients found in eggs also help your liver produce bile, which is critical for digestion, absorbing fat, and eliminating crap. I was very crass in this book. And in case you didn't know, cholesterol is an imperative substance in your body. It produces hormones, vitamin D, and bile so that you can digest fat. A lot of times a body that is deprived of healthy fats that contain cholesterol will actually increase cholesterol production. That's how badly your body needs cholesterol. Researchers at Harvard found, when following 115,000 people, so this is a really large clinical study, for 8 or more years, people who ate one egg a day for 8 or more years did not have any effects on their overall cholesterol levels, nor did it increase their risk of heart disease or stroke. So that's an entire egg with the yolk, okay? 8 years, 115,000 people. Additionally, Mother Earth News conducted their own research project. And this is where it really is important. This is the important piece to take away from here. And this is what the health research was kind of amplifying. They were cherry picking again, like the bad research versus, you know, so there's a big difference in the quality of eggs that are out there, and you need to eat good quality eggs from good quality animals. So conventional confined, help I can't move chicken eggs with free roaming, you know, in comparison to free roaming, oh, isn't that a nice breeze, chicken eggs and found that eggs from free range chickens contain 1/3 less cholesterol and 1/4 less saturated fat. And then listen to this, a study from Pennington Biomedical Research Center, overweight women who ate eggs for breakfast lost twice as much weight as women who started their days with bagels. Researchers say that protein in eggs increases satiety, so satiation, and decreases hunger. It also regulates hormones and helps women lose weight. So my recommendation from 2009 still completely stands. Have 6 to 8 free-range eggs with their yolks per week. And personally, I eat 2 eggs a day, every day. My son eats 1 to 1.5 eggs every day. My husband, 2 eggs every day. We are healthy people. We do not have cholesterol or heart disease problems. Heart disease comes from inflammatory substances in your diet, such as carbohydrates. The other thing this study, or this What the Health documentary talks about, is that sugar isn't as bad as we once thought it was. That is such a bunch of hooey. Sugar is evil, as I say again in this amazing book, Chill Out and Get Healthy. I have an entire chapter dedicated that says, sugar is evil, soy sucks, and fat will not make you fat. Okay, again, this was 2009 I was writing about this. This is a long time ago. Sugar is evil. When I'm talking about sugar, I'm not talking about the sugar in fruits and vegetables. Those are good sugars, great sugars, in fact. When I speak of sugar, I'm talking about added sugars. Of course, things like high fructose corn syrup, we all know is terrible. Crystalline fructose, table sugar, cane sugar, sucrose, corn syrup. You know, there's lots of sugars in disguises. Things like agave, people think is good for you. Not so good. It's not technically sugar, but it has a similar effect as high fructose corn syrup on your blood sugar. So don't eat agave. Then things like brown sugar, let's see, fructose, maple sugar, molasses, all of that is sugar. Some have different glycemic indexes and have a different effect on blood sugar, but we're talking here about added sugar. So I want to just give you some facts. Refined concentrated sweeteners like high fructose corn syrup and crystalline fructose overwhelm the digestive system. And, you know, I'm talking a little Chinese medicine. I don't want to get into that. So here's an interesting factoid. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, sugar consumption in 1999 was 158 pounds per person. 38% higher than it was in 1983. That's about 158 pounds of sugar per person every year. Or put another way, the average American ingests 50 teaspoons of added sugar a day. 50 teaspoons. Oh, Danielle, you're so sweet. Thank you. So, you know, added sugar is evil. It's in everything, and it contributes to, you know, bad skin, hormonal imbalances, gastrointestinal disorders, type 2 diabetes, all sorts of terrible things. So sugar is evil. It leads to, like, they are claiming in this movie that it's not indicated for heart disease or diabetes, and that is complete misinformation. Sugar is one of the worst inflammatory substances, and what we have found in current research is what's causing heart disease and high cholesterol is inflammatory substances, particularly a body that's getting a lot of omega-6 fatty acids is really pro-inflammatory and really likely to get heart disease, high cholesterol, all the bad stuff, basically even cancer. Omega-6s are found in vegetable oils, soy, corn, you know, what are some of the other ones? Soy and corn are the two worst. Then you want to think about grains. All of your white flours turn right into sugar and right into pro-inflammatory substances in the body. So sugar really is an extremely evil substance. And now the, you know, next thing I want to talk about is, so this documentary, you know, similar to Forks Over Knives and the China study, they talk about how meat causes cancer. Again, that's really old research, and it's research that is called epidemiological research, which is basically a bunch of BS. Again, was a research scientist, understand research very well. Epidemiological studies are basically me going around, and I'm going to hand all of you a quiz right now, and I'm going to ask you in that quiz, over the last year, about how many times did you eat meat? And you're going to have to think, right then and there. In 5 minutes, I want you to answer this quiz, okay? Okay, so maybe I eat it like 3 times a week, okay. And then how many family members died of cancer in your family? Okay. What's your health like? Okay. You know, nowhere in that study is, or in that quiz is like, how many fruits and vegetables do you eat? Do you smoke cigarettes? Do you drink soda? Do you have a sedentary lifestyle? Do you have a high level of stress? Do you not sleep? None of those variables are asked about. And then they come and they collect the study and they say, oh, look it, the meat eaters have a higher rate of cancer in their families. Oh my God, meat causes cancer. Whoo, that makes my head freaking spin. Another point that is really important to make is that nobody has really studied the effects of grass-fed meat versus conventionally farmed meat. So this is where I agree with What the Health. Conventional farming has screwed us up. It is causing all of our health problems, and it is a major, major problem. Animals from factory farmed animals that are eating grains like corn and soy, which are genetically modified, loaded with pesticides, And then they're surrounded by loads of other animals in a very unhealthy environment, loaded with antibiotics, given hormones to grow faster than they should normally grow. Those guys produce really poor quality meat that is really high in omega-6 fatty acids, and that will cause inflammation and that will cause disease. I completely understand. So the days that I have that are vegetarian is when I can't get good quality meat, I won't eat it. I do not touch poor quality meat. I will only eat grass-fed meat or pastured meat. That is it. And even my eggs, right? They are free range. They are pastured eggs. You can tell the difference between a good egg and a crappy egg by the color of the yolk. The color of the yolk should literally be like this color orange. That is a good, healthy yolk. Those pale yellow yolks, don't eat them. They are high in omega-6s and they will be pro-inflammatory in your body and will lead to disease. So it's important that you recognize the distinction. Poor quality meat leads to poor quality health, for certain. Poor quality dairy leads to poor quality health. Your animal products must be grass-fed, organic, pastured, okay? You do not want animals who are eating grains. They don't eat grains. Chickens are supposed to eat dirt and bugs and walk around and just kind of eat a bunch of stuff that's on the ground. Cows are supposed to eat grass. Pigs are supposed to roll around in their grossness all the time and be pastured and do their thing. These animals are not meant to be in these tight airplane hangars with hundreds of other animals and pumped up with antibiotics and fed grains. They produce really poor quality meat, which will produce poor quality health results. So that's the biggest distinction here. And when I talk about eating meat, I'm talking about the size of your palm. That's about 3 ounces. A couple times a week, right? Well, really 5 to 7 times a week, I think is my general, let's see what my recommendation typically is. I have, let's see, and I should read this too to you. Eat meat, right? So I say, I want you eating, where did I write this down? That's interesting. Well, I said, okay, chicken, lamb, duck, beef, pork, turkey, buffalo, elk, venison, you name it. Obviously, I'm not recommending you eat a big fatty ribeye for steak every dinner, but I am saying have 3 to 4 ounces of hormone, antibiotic-free, organically raised, lean meat 5 to 6 days a week, okay? And then fish should make up the other part of that protein. And then if you do eat beans or nuts or seeds, you need to be soaking them. Beans and nuts, seeds, well, they all are very high in something called phytic acid, which is also a very intense pro-inflammatory substance. So particularly if you have an autoimmune condition or you just don't digest those foods well, it's because you need to soak them. There's tons of articles on how to soak, so just Google that and you can figure it out on your own. And if you are more vegetarian than anything else, you need to be soaking and sprouting your grains, your beans, your seeds, your nuts. You have to. It's the only way you're actually going to get nutrition from that food. Soy is another thing that I am extremely against. As I say, again, in Chill Out and Get Healthy, and in my other book, what's it called? Yes, You Can Get Pregnant. Soy sucks, and it's like serious. Soy products on the whole are processed and toxic. Eating soy may make your period irregular, compromise your ability to get pregnant, can give you osteoporosis, horrible gas, zero energy, and hypothyroidism. It's also one of the most common food allergens. The vegan preaching soy supporters out there have neglected to tell the general population that most soy products on the market are made from overly processed and more than likely genetically modified soybeans that have the nutritional equivalent of plastic. People in Asian countries have not been eating no furkey or sham ham for the last 300 years. Asians consume non-processed, non-genetically modified fermented soy, also known as miso. And they ate this fermented soy as a side dish, not a main course. So you need to really pay attention to the soy. Soy needs to be non-GMO, organic, and in fermented and in small portions. So the soy products, most of them you're eating are not fermented. I mean it, like no soy milk, no soy cheese, no soy yogurt. There's tons of other options now. Coconut milk, almond milk, cashew milk, make your own nut milk, make your own coconut yogurt. It's super duper easy. Get an Instant Pot and you can make your own coconut yogurt. So, you know, then there's some research too that's really freaking scary about how soy consumption, and we're talking like several ounces a day, leads to thyroid disease. And that is super important that you understand that. And thyroid disease is really prevalent. They say like 2 out of 3 women will have hypothyroid disease, you know, by the time I think they're 40 or 50. That's really significant. And a lot of that does come from our diet. So they don't talk a ton about soy in this movie, but they are vegans, so they're not against soy. But just keep in mind, you should not be having more than 2 ounces of fermented soy a week. And again, needs to be organic and non-GMO. So let's see, I have all these notes. I want to make sure I talked about everything that was really important. You know, I think another thing to keep in mind is the vegan lifestyle. Most people tend to not be getting enough fat. They're not getting enough B vitamins, and they're not getting enough protein. People who eat, and especially women, if you eat less than 50 grams of protein a day, your hormones will be a complete train wreck. I recommend at least 80 grams of protein a day, and most of that protein is coming from animal products. And it is the best source of protein. They are, you know, very complete proteins. You're getting all of your essential amino acids in there and fatty acids, and really helps balance your body. So, you know, I think it's fine, again, to have vegetarian and vegan days. And I do think it's extremely important to know where your meat products come from. And to really take all of this with a grain of salt, right? You know, there is so much information, a lot of misinformation out there. The number one thing is listen to your body. How does it feel? You know, the thing with dairy and what I recommend in my clinic is if you eat dairy products, and they should be organic, full fat dairy products, if you feel okay, then they're fine for you. If you don't feel okay, they're not okay for you. And for me, I can have a little bit of dairy in moderation. I'm perfectly fine. If I have too much of it, my eczema flares up and I feel bloated and gross and I get a little constipated. Okay, so it's not really for me, right? Some girls get acne, so dairy's probably not for them. You know, it is one of the first things I'll pull in a diet when I'm trying to work with someone to get them to be their healthiest self, is I'll have them go gluten, dairy, soy-free. And then we can play around and add things back in and see how you feel. But keep all of this in mind. It's like there isn't a one-size-fits-all diet plan, but the nutrient profile of your foods is really important. And the biggest things is eating fresh, whole, organic foods, getting meat from good quality sources, lots of water, and really respecting your food, appreciating your food, allowing it to nourish you, appreciating that nourishment, taking the time to eat. And, you know, eating enough. Most of us don't even eat enough. And so for me, when I claimed I was a vegetarian and a vegan, it was an act of masking an eating disorder. And I see that a lot clinically. So, you know, check yourself. And why are we so limiting in certain foods? Like, listen, once in a while it's fine to have sugar. Just pick a good source of sugar. You know, raw honey or sugar in the raw, and you know, 1 to 2 teaspoons a day. Nobody needs 50 teaspoons a day of sugar, and you definitely don't need to be drinking soda. Hands down, high fructose corn syrup should never be in your home or touch you or anyone in your family. And you know, I think that's really something to take in. And dietary cholesterol does not cause high cholesterol or heart disease. And does organic typically mean non-GMO? Technically, yes, Erin. Hi, Erin. Yes, it should. But, you know, I think sometimes the marketing can be deceiving. But technically, if it's organic, it means it's non-GMO. And let me see. I feel like I had some other questions. Now I can't see them. Okay. One of my favorite books. Aw, you're sweet. Oh, my skin, you're sweet. Let's see. Okay. Also about the experts in the documentary. Right. Exactly. Okay. All right, guys. You guys are awesome. I'm going to hop because I have to get onto my secret Facebook group and talk to my thriving, fertile, yes, you can get pregnant group. And so I will see you next week. Any questions, comments, post them. I'll come back through later today and answer. And love you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Enjoy the weather wherever you are. And again, really appreciate your food. It's there to nourish you and take care of you. So choose wisely.